you can kind of like tell me a little bit about you. I know you immigrated to the United States from South Korea.
Yeah, young immigrants. I came here with my family.
Yeah.
My mom brought here when I was 15 and a half. My mom ended up leaving us after a year of staying with us.
Yeah.
So it was just me and my sister who stayed in the United States. I was already kind of struggling mentally. So that transition into already struggling with depression at young age, coming to a whole entire new country where I didn't speak English at all.
How do you think this early experience as an immigrant, very young as well, shape your perspective and maybe drive your creativity as a businesswoman later on in life?
The only thing that really drove me to stay alive was art. I kept pursuing art, became a fashion photographer, and I got to be working as a fairly successful fashion photographer because I was working full time.
Because I guess you left photography completely, right?
Yeah, I want to make a lot of money and I wanted it to be better.
What's your vision behind it?
My vision is to give people confidence. By our clothing, I wanted people to feel confident and feel special.
What would be a piece of advice that you could share with someone? Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Visa to Venture podcast. In this episode, I'm going to have Tina Jo, an amazing entrepreneur from South Korea who started a beautiful clothing brand called 8 Cats. Her journey from Korea, coming here to high school, struggling to become a photographer, building an amazing brand as a photographer on an O1 visa in the United States, and then making a decision to start a company in the fashion industry, in this amazing competitive industry, is a fascinating story. And I'm super excited to share all this with you guys. So this episode is special to me because she's an immigrant. She suffered so much by coming to the United States alone without her family. And I think it's going to inspire so many of you to learn from her and get inspired to jump on your entrepreneurial journey, no matter where you are in this process. Tina, thank you for coming on the show, first of all. And I would say your name, Tina Jo, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
said perfectly. Very good. Finally, we have somebody with an easy name. A lot of my
Yeah.
people on the show, it's like hard for me to pronounce. So I'm excited that you're here. And maybe you can kind of like tell me a little bit about your journey. I know I know a little bit about you. I know you immigrated to the United States from South Korea. You came here early on. You were in high school still.
Mhm.
But first of all, why did you guys? I assume you came with your family, right? So
So, long story short, should I just do a
yeah. Tell me.
brief introduction of how I ended up here?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
okay. So, um, like many other young immigrants, I came here with my family.
Yeah,
My mom brought here when I was 15 and a half with my sister. My dad stayed in Korea because they had just gotten a divorce back then. And I ended up attending high school here, but there were many other reasons why we moved here. Honestly, I'm not really sure because I came here at such young age, so it was solely my mother's decision. My mom ended up leaving us after a year of staying with us,
yeah.
so it was just me and my sister who stayed in the United States, and ever since then, I've been staying here. I stayed in I stayed here with student visa and then work visa and then finally obtained permanent residency.
So you,
So it
you had
was
an
quite a
F1
bit of a
visa.
journey.
You had an
Mm-hmm.
F1 visa for school. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I went through a whole F1 and then OPT and
Uh-huh.
I also did CPT during school. I think a lot of people don't know about that.
That's true.
Um, yeah, and then yeah, I got O1 visa, and then I finally got permanent residency. So that's kind of like how my journey started. I'm not exactly sure why we had moved here. I have a general idea, but it's like, it's my
Right, right.
mom's reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, you came because your family came here. So it was kind of like this
Right.
thing.
I was brought here against my will.
Yeah.
I didn't have any say to it. Yeah.
Do you remember like the year or the few months in South Korea before coming to America? Like, what was your life in South Korea before coming here?
My life in South Korea was fairly normal, I would say. I didn't have the best childhood. I don't know if I should be talking about these.
You can say that, you know.
more
Yeah.
deep in like a personal level. Like speaking of a personal level, I didn't have a great childhood. I did have an abusive mother who was physically and mentally abusive. So that's kind of like what I grew up with. So I experienced bully back in Korea. I had hard time adjusting to the Korean traditional culture.
Right.
So it wasn't easy for me growing up there, but I also did not know that we are moving to United States until a week before we were moving. So
Right.
nothing was prepared. It was very chaotic as young age. So my life was fairly normal in terms of like I just went to school. Um, I lived with my family and nothing was that much of a difference. But yeah, I was already kind of struggling mentally. So that transition into already struggling with depression at young age, coming to a whole entire new country where I
Yeah.
didn't speak English at all, that was quite a bit of a challenge at that age. I think that would be a challenge for anyone at any age, to be frank. But yeah, that's kind of like how my life was. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, the reason why I ask you that is because, you know, despite your struggles, and you know, I mean, I speak to a lot of immigrants who come here, and you know, I mean, you obviously went through a lot of personal issues as well. But the combination of these personal things, moving to the United States, how do you think this early experience as an immigrant, very young as well, shape your perspective and maybe drive your creativity as a businesswoman later on in life? Because I'm sure it had something to do with it, right?
Absolutely. I think that's such a great question, by the way. I think appreciate that question. I think I was struggling mentally with depression, but the only thing that really kept me alive and the only thing that really drove me to stay alive was art.
Okay.
I was always an artistic kid. I would always draw, loved animation, loved drawing, creating, taking photos. So that just kind of transitioned into me develop, developing my career into a creative field. So when I moved to United States, I was fortunate enough to meet teachers who really trusted my creativity and my talent.
Okay.
So I kept pursuing art and I won a lot of awards in high school with art and ended up going to art school with great amount of scholarship
Oh
and
wow.
just kept transitioned into that career field. But I think that's also what really helped me to transition from coming from a mentally struggling place and on top of that change of environment. I think art and creativity itself really helped me because that's how I got to connect with friends and make friends too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a whole transition. And to to connect those thoughts with my current business is I kept pursuing art, became a fashion photographer, and I got to be working as a fairly successful fashion photographer because I was working full time. And
Right.
then I ended up wanting to pursue more. So that's kind of how I came up with this brand, ACATS, where we are designing casual wear, quality clothing. And it's not super unique or very new style, but it's more of a reiterating an existing design into my own design and my style. And the way I'm running the business too, I think all those experiences from the past, being an immigrant, mentally struggling, and being in so many different industry in my lifetime just kind of combined together, and it's inspiring me to run this current business the way I want and the way I envision this brand to grow into is something that I'm inspired by by my past and um yeah, by my
Your
experiences. So
experiences. But
yeah,
you know, it's
so
interesting
that's all
because
connected.
to me it's interesting because you know obviously photography is your art, is your skill, is what you studied. Can you like walk me through like maybe like the thought process of you leaving? Because I guess you left photography completely, right? Le-
I still do as not for like a professional
Right, but
reasons, but
that's
yeah,
not your
main thing
commercial work
anymore.
anymore. But
It's not main any, yeah,
leaving
it's not my main
photography,
thing anymore.
being
Hmm.
a fashion photographer, which I would imagine it's a pretty demanding, but also hopefully a career that gets you to places. Leaving that, and then launching a fashion brand, and as we all know, it's a very very tough world because we have so many brands coming in. You've got companies from Asia dominating markets. I think what kind of like made you feel that first of all that you want to do it, and second of all, it gave you the confidence that you can actually succeed in doing it.
I think the biggest thing what made me want to do it is number one, well, there's three main reasons. One, I didn't want to be a photographer for the rest of my life because I knew that my body was not going to be able to handle it. Photography is a very physically demanding
Right.
job and it's never going to be growing as a business. So I knew that I needed to do something to change my future where I get to actually live life because I never got to really live life.
Right.
So that was one of my main goals. And two, through fashion photography industry and making friends and meeting so many people made me realize that so many of the people are so exploited, and especially immigrants. Um, and witnessing that really broke my heart, and I just didn't want to really be in that kind of environment anymore. And I wanted to create my own universe and my own world where I am treating people the way I think they deserve and being, obviously I have more growth to do. I have a lot more learning to
Of course.
do, but I wanted it to be better. I wanted to create an environment that's better for people who's involved with the business. So that was honestly one of the biggest things. And third, I'm not going to lie, I like money and I think
Of
money can
course.
help a lot of people. I think it has so much power, especially I've experienced not to poverty level, but I've struggled financially, and that was extremely hard. And I know that money has power to help a lot of people and change their lives. So yeah, I want to make a lot of money and eventually be able to do goods to the world. Because I've received help, I think it's my duty to give back to the community. So yeah,
Right.
those are the three reasons.
What
And
what
how, yeah, sorry.
what was the actual vision behind it? Because I know you told me the reason why you did it, but what is the vision behind the brand Eat Cats? Like, I'm sure you had some kind of a like, okay, I'm here now, but my vision is to see it be the next blah blah blah. Like, I'm just always curious to know, like, when somebody starts something like that, which is so creative. And I looked at some of their designs. It kind of feels like um, almost like a freestyle um, Zara, but with a cool twist in a way. I don't know,
Mm,
like very plain. One of my favorite brands is Uniqlo, and the reason I
mm,
like Uniqlo is because it's just
basics.
like plain, but it's also expressive because they are able to express their creativity through shapes and comfort versus having these loud imprints on their stuff. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
just curious, like, what's your vision behind it?
I think my vision definitely always changes, but I think the fundamental of it is that I wanted people to feel like they're they're not it girl, but they're that girl. Because
Okay.
that's kind of how I always felt. I felt like I was always the outcaster. I was the weird one. I was the ugly one growing up. So I always felt like I wasn't really special. But by our clothing, I wanted people to feel confident and feel special because that's kind of how I also overcame depression. If I feel sad, I'm putting on cute clothes or colorful outfits to make
Right.
myself feel better. And whatever you're wearing that day can really change your confidence. And I think confidence can change your whole entire life and whole entire day. And
Right.
that's kind of what I want to give. And that is my fundamental vision of ACATS. My vision is changing in terms of like realistic vision is always changing because some days I'm growing and then some days we're static. So sometimes I'm dreaming extremely big, and then there are days where I'm like, maybe I can settle for less kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, so there's two different fundamental vision, but I think the basic the baseline of this brand, my vision is to give people confidence. Um, yeah, so
Right.
that's kind of
Well,
like what I'm always thinking about when
yeah, I
I'm
like that
designing
because it kind of
clothes.
feels when you look at the styles, it just feels like when you wear it, you feel something, and I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
it's about. That's what fashion is all about. If you feel good in the way you look and the way you dress, then it translates to other parts of your life, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's if it looks good. I mean, like I said, I'll have to. Is it only for women or also men can?
It's unisex.
It
So
is unisex.
our
Okay.
yeah, so our best-selling sweat
Yeah.
sets, our Brooklyn collection
Okay.
has been going viral several times. So
Yeah.
it's been like getting sold out super fast. And
Yeah.
that's unisex. So a lot of guys and girls are both wearing it.
Okay.
And it's so cute because now
I'll
a
have
lot
to.
of girls are saying that their boyfriends are stealing their hoodie.
Oh, okay. I'll have to. I'll have to get one because I like
It's
hoodies.
so good. It's
That's
actually
right.
really good. Yeah.
And talking about the virality of what you said, I
Mhm.
know that eight cats gained significant traction on TikTok, right? So how did
Mhm.
you first of all use or leverage social media to grow your brand, and maybe give us some strategies that actually worked for you as a founder to find a new audience and build it? Because everybody's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm just starting out right now. How can I use these new tools to get traction?
I think honestly, like we're still very small. I think I'm still figuring things out and algorithm is always changing.
Right.
So it's really hard to figure out what exactly is working and what not. What I try to focus is that I think being authentic very much helped. And I've talked to a lot of our customers and our community, and a lot of the feedbacks that I've been receiving is that they love my authenticity. I like to be very open about our pricing, how we operate, where we get our garments made, why I decided to choose that certain fabric over the other fabric. And I take constructive criticism extremely well, where, for instance, like a skirt that we released, some customers were asking if we can add pockets, so we made that happen. Some customers were asking for more sizes, so we made that happen. So a constant, authentic connection with the audience, no matter what size of your account is
Yeah.
the key because our account is small in comparison to a lot of other big brands. And the cool thing is that even when we had 1,000 followers, we had such good engagement because I actually cared about our community and I actually talked to them and I actually engaged with them. And I think that's really the
It's really
key.
important. Yeah.
Even yeah, and the content quality wise, I still have no idea. I just try to look cute and show cute clothes and hoping that it works and hoping that people will buy it. Um, so it's still very hard, but I think what works for us specifically is being true and being truthful,
Mhm.
being communicative, and not lying to the customers. So yeah, authenticity. I think that has really been the key, and us showing like some of the customers literally saw us growing from nothing to what we are right now. Not that we're huge or anything, but yeah, they've been watching us grow, and it's quite exciting. Yeah, for
Well,
them
the,
and for me too.
well, the
Yeah.
journey itself, and you document the journey, and people see how you
Hmm.
grow, and it's just like. But I think what you said about being authentic and unique, I think it's just so important because that's really what it's about, and people want to see who is the real person behind,
Yeah.
eight cats, and who is Tina. Like, what are your struggles?
Yeah.
Sometimes, so I think it's amazing. Do you think that because you're an immigrant, I mean, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
classify you as an immigrant entrepreneur. Now we are going through very challenging times, as you know. You live in LA. Did you? Well, first of all, were there any challenges that you faced because you're an immigrant entrepreneur? And if there were, like, how did you overcome them? And
I think, not gonna lie, I think the biggest struggle was one when I was living on O1 visa for 6 years, and I don't know if you're going to explain this part of what O1 is, but let me just briefly say it.
you can say
So,
it. Say it in your words,
yeah.
because a lot of the founders that we interview on this podcast, they
Mm.
have the O1 visa,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
and they
So
want to
O1
train.
visa, because I had 6 years of O1 visa, I
Mhm.
was only able to work specifically as a photographer. So this business, I've always wanted to do it, ACATS, but I never got to do it because
Okay.
I didn't have a permanent residency or the business visa. So that was the biggest struggle because I felt like I was stuck. I felt like I was in a cage where I was forced to continue shooting when I was ready to move on with my life and do something else. Because I've been doing photography for like 10 to 15 years and I was ready to exit, but I was not allowed. So
Right.
that was one of the biggest struggles. And on top of that, with lawyer fees, application fees, no matter how much we make, I just couldn't save up that much money
Yeah.
because of constant legal fees and constant taxes. And on top of that, I was working Monday through Sunday. I had one time I didn't have a day off for 2 months straight because I needed to hit that income bracket so that I can maintain my legal status.
Right.
It almost felt like I was forced into this, working nonstop, and didn't get to live a life. So I think that was my biggest challenge and my struggle. No freedom. That's really basically what it is.
People
Yeah.
don't realize that the visa is almost like a golden chain where you have to follow
Yeah.
certain rules. Otherwise, you get kicked out, right? And if you don't follow
Hmm.
these rules, let's say on the O1, which allows you to work and live in the United States because it's a special visa for talent, which people that
Yeah.
watch the show they know. But also, if you don't do certain things, you won't be able to apply for the green card later on because you need to show you have accomplishments, which is what
Yep.
kind of I guess we were collecting those during
Yep.
those 6 years, right? Did you get your green card
Yep.
as an EB1?
Can I actually not comment on how I got my
Well,
green card?
no, it's fine. It's fine. No worries. We'll
We can
edit
cut
it.
that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, of
You'll
course.
probably know why.
Okay, yeah, it's all
Yeah.
edited, so don't worry.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
having an O1 is amazing. Is an amazing accomplishment. So
Yeah.
I think it's like I said, it's like I said, it's a great accomplishment, but at the same time, the challenge is that you have to keep following the rules of the visa, so you can keep staying in this country,
Yeah.
right?
And not to mention the rejection, like when you get our fee and then you have to pay extra fees. It's
Right,
just
exactly,
it's a
exactly.
struggle.
Right, but then you learn from this, and I think, one of the things that I did like about your brand, just from the brief research that we did, is that it does emphasize empowering individuality, and
Mm-hmm.
this is something very interesting that I liked about it. And so, if that's the case, how do you actually incorporate this philosophy into your designs, right? Because I think that's kind of like how it works, and your business philosophy as well.
I think for design wise, individuality, huh?
Because it's empowering, right? Like you wear this and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm unique in a way.
I think it's more of I think I'm not sure if it can really like apply into the design itself, but I think it definitely applies into my business philosophy
Okay.
where you're allowed to be different. And I still do imply that into my fashion designs too. For example, like our bloomer shorts, it was very unconventional sweat shorts design, but I went for it because I thought it was cute and I thought there's gonna be other people who likes this too. And maybe it is not the it girl trendy style, but maybe some people out there will like it. And that's kind of like what I do consider when I design it. But my business philosophy for sure, it implies that idea of you don't have to be cool in general public. You might be very different. You might have a different type of conventional, not conventional attractiveness into you, but you are yourself and you are beautiful in your own way. And that's kind of like what I always think about, even when I'm making content. Sometimes I feel, um, or the way I talk to our community and the type of models that we choose and the type of, yeah. So I do always keep that in mind where this might be not conventionally attractive or conventionally popular or trendy, but it can be unconventional and there's beauty in within that unconventional attractive.
Right.
Yeah, unconventional beauty. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
again, this is kind of like how I you see it, and I think the nice thing about the brand is we probably all see it differently, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what makes it probably attractive to customers because they feel
Mm-hmm.
unique when they wear your clothes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, that's at least
Yeah.
how I looked at it when I briefly saw some of the designs. But maybe I have to wear it, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll
You
we'll do
can.
a follow up episode, and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of immigrant entrepreneurs that come on the
Mm.
show, and even for myself, that I'm, came here from another place. There's always a defining moment in our journey to
Mm.
build our businesses, and I'm curious. I know you probably have many of them because of your, the struggles you had coming in here. But I'm wondering if you can maybe share with me one defining moment that you went through as you were building your company. Coming back to you being an immigrant entrepreneur.
I When I was preparing for this business, I didn't realize. Yes, sorry, let me start that again. When I was starting to prepare for this business and doing research, I realized that there aren't that many woman-owned immigrant Asian fashion brands out here in United States. That was one thing that I had not think about before. There's a lot of like wholesale brands out here in LA. 99% of these fashion wholesale brands are owned by Koreans and they're majority owned by men. But on TikTok, on Instagram, when I was doing a lot of research on these different brands, I haven't really seen a lot, maybe like one or two, very, very few Asian female founders. And even then, maybe they're second generation, but they're not really immigrant themselves. So that was kind of like, oh wow, I am actually pretty unique in this space if we really think about it. And my defining moment was when our first video went viral, and that day we just all day we were like ching 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 ching, and there were so many people like rooting for me that I don't even know. It's just a bunch of strangers rooting for my success, and that was like extreme defining moment where I didn't grow up pretty. I was the ugly one. I was the dumb one. My grades were bad. I graduated with a C in my own degree. I I always felt like I didn't speak English that well. I struggled with the language. I was some random alien in this country, and I felt like that because I was not seeing people like me on screen. But then the fact that I am that person and I can be that person on some young kids, some young immigrant kids' screen, and them knowing that this is possible as a female Asian immigrant
Right.
founder, and even if you just moved here at 15 and you don't speak English, I was the same way. And look what I'm doing. And I think that can give so much hope to a lot of people that looks like me and who's been through the experience that I went through and who is going through that experience currently. That was actually really my defining moment.
Wow. No, it's a big
Having
one.
that video being seen by a lot of
Of
people.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Because once you have that, you're like, well, what else is possible, right?
Yeah, like anything is
Because you come
possible.
from Monday, you're nothing, and then on Thursday, suddenly thousands of people know, and then,
Exactly.
right? How did
Yeah.
it make you feel personally? Like, how did you process it? Like, did it make you feel like, oh my God, I'm the best in the world, or did it kind of make you feel scared? Like, how does it? Because it's kind of like a small success moments that continue to
Yeah.
come like a wave.
I honestly thought that I'm very proud of myself, and in a way I am a little bit narcissistic, but that I really do own up to it. Um, but in that moment, I really thought that I was just gonna be like, shit, yeah, I did it. I did this. But in reality, when I experienced that, I cried and I called my friends and family and
Okay.
I thanked them. Because the biggest emotion that I experienced was feeling very, very grateful for everyone
Yeah.
that supported me. And that was just like the first thought, like the nothing else.
Yeah.
The moment it started ching, I called up all my friends. I texted all my friends who's been there for me, my family, my sister, my brother-in-law. I just texted everyone. And I was just like, thank you so much.
I
Like, this
love
is
it.
not possible. This would have never been possible without you guys. So that was like the first, which was like an unexpected emotion. I knew that I was going to feel grateful, but I really didn't think that that was going to be the first exact emotion that I was going to experience.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it tells me that it came from the heart, and that was the first emotion that
Mm,
came out of you. You know what I mean?
yes.
You, you know, it's I watch a lot of podcasts, and I'm sure you do as well. And I think the one thing that I always like to get from these podcasts is kind of get something that I can take with me. So
Mm,
if somebody's watching this, whether she is a young immigrant entrepreneur building career, her company, or somebody working for somebody else on a visa, on an H-1B visa, on an O-1 visa, and they really want to break into their space, whether it's fashion or technology, what would be a piece of advice that you could share with somebody who is looking to do something like that, to start their own business or scale their business, or you know,
trust the process. That's one note that I always tell myself to this day too.
right?
Trust the process because yesterday was practice, today is progress, and tomorrow is the result. You just have to really live in the moment and you just have to continue going. And there's going to be days where things are working out perfectly the way you want, and there's going to be
Yeah,
days where fuck this, like this just sucks. And it is what it is. And that part of the process is the most fun part of this journey, and the journey continues and never ends. There is no end game, there is no ending until you die, obviously. Um, you just have to trust it and you have to enjoy it. And
love it. Yeah,
if you don't trust yourself and if you don't bet on yourself, nothing will come the way you want. You can just sit there and expect things to happen. Like you have to be the go-getter, but you also have to trust it while you do it. I
it's
think yeah,
it's
sorry.
so hard to do that because I think I mean that's really what separates successful entrepreneurs from the ones that don't, because they don't trust, and they just
Yeah.
always have negative self-talk, you know, like, oh, I can't do it, I'm a loser. But you know, trusting yourself is a skill, and I think you develop it as you get forward in life, right?
That's the honestly, I've been through so much in my life, and also being an immigrant, learning the language, all, you know, I think that really helped me to develop into who I am right now, because without that experience, I would probably be the same way where I'm doubtful, I am
Right.
fearful, I am, questioning a lot of things. But because I had already gone through all of those hardships, nothing scares me anymore. Nothing terrifies me
Love it.
anymore. You just do it. Don't think, you just do it.
I love that. You know,
Yeah.
this question I always ask at the end of the interview. Everybody, it's like the same question,
Mm.
and I think for you, it's going to be. I'm very curious to see what you're going to tell me, because the question is basically, if you could go back to your 14 or 16-year-old self. And the reason I mentioned this age, this is the age that kind of creates a definition for how our future is going to shape. If
Hmm.
you go back with the lessons and the tools that you have with your experience as a business owner today, what would you do differently? What would you say to yourself that you should do? Like in my case, I would tell myself, well, you should do more chores and help your parents, because I did nothing as a young teen. I just let everybody do stuff for me, and I didn't learn enough skills. What would you tell your younger 14 or 15-year-old Tina?
I wouldn't change a thing. I really wouldn't change a thing. Because every single experiences that I've gone through, and even the things that I I would never wish upon anyone that I had experienced. I think I experienced that so that I can be empathetic towards those people who had experienced the same thing as me and who are going through the same thing. Without that experience, I really, really wouldn't be who I am. Not that I wish, I don't want any of those things to happen to anyone. Like, I don't
Of
think,
course.
I truly don't think yeah. But
But
there's not a single thing that I would change.
would there be a skill that you wish you would have learned at that age that would have helped you later in life that you didn't?
No, I think at that age, I was,
You're doing a lot.
I was already drawing a lot. I was doing a lot of art. So I think the only really, I don't know, maybe if I have to choose and be realistic of the skill, maybe do more coding
Oh, really?
because website building is definitely hard.
Yes, it is.
So if I have to choose a skill specifically and be more realistic on that side, yeah, I should have learned coding.
I see. And I love that.
But yeah,
The
that's
fact that
it.
you said that, whatever happened to you is basically the reason why you are who you are today is pretty impressive. So before we end the interview, if people want to find you, where would they find you? Maybe share your website or anywhere that people should follow you, your Instagram, whatever you want.
They can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Shop8Cats. And if they want
Shop
to check out
ACATS.
our design, they can check out shop8cats.com.
And we'll put links to your shop and to your website in the notes of the show.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, Tina. It was a pleasure. I learned a
Thank
lot
you,
from
Jacob.
you, and I'm inspired now to buy one of the hoodies or the t-shirts, and I'll try it. All right?
I hope you like it.
All right. Thanks a
Awesome.
lot,
Thank you so much, Jacob.
and
Thank
I look
you.
forward to seeing what you're going to build
Oh,
with your
thank
brand.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, have a good one.